Everybody, this is Mrs. Burke. This is video number 58, and this is going to be about the 10 big moons of the solar system. I'm here outside on the farm on a beautiful Sunday morning, and it is about a week before the big planting weekend here, so let's go. How many moons are there? Well, there are 162 and counting. And why would I say that? Well, we find more and more as we keep going on and have better and better technology. We do have two planets who have no moons, so they're lonely. They're all out there by themselves. And that's going to be Mercury and Venus, and I'm showing you two pictures of them down here. Now let's talk about Mars. Mars has two moons. I like to call them the brothers. This is Phobos and Deimos. They were both discovered by Mr. Hall in 1877. And they're kind of small. They're kind of weeny. Phobos and Deimos are about the size of Houston, Texas. Phobos means fear and Deimos means terror. They were actually named after the horses that pulled the Greek god of war. And they're one of the smallest and the lowest gravities that are out there. They were once asteroids, and we think that because they are very similar, both in composition and size, to the ones that are found in the asteroid belt, and they were captured by Mars when the solar system formed. Alright, let's talk Jupiter. So if there was like the Mac Daddy of moons in the universe, it would be Jupiter. Jupiter's got 63 moons and counting. There are 4 major ones, so those are going to be the ones I'm going to focus on with you here today. This is a great picture from NASA that you're looking at. Io is how you say that, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. So let's talk about Io. Io is my favorite. Its surface looks like melted pizza. I happen to just have that for lunch today. Orbits Jupiter in about 1.7 days, so that's like super fast. It's the innermost of the moons, so that means it's the one that's closest to Jupiter. It is very geological active, so what that means is it has over 400 active volcanoes on it. SO2 is sulfur dioxide, and that's beneath the surface, and that's what gives it its color here. And its lava that it spews out of its volcanoes is at 2,600 degrees, and it produces 45,000 tons of lava per second. That's pretty impressive. Alright, let's talk about Europa, and this is, again, a great picture of what Europa actually looks like. It's very smooth, like a pool ball. I don't know if you guys ever played pool before. It's considered sort of an ice moon. It orbits Jupiter's in 3.6 days, so this is a little slower than Io. It has lots of radiation and not like the heat kind, like the bad kind that could kill you. It has an ocean of ice under its surface, and it gets no heat from the sun because it's really too far away. Let's talk about Ganymede. It's bigger than Mercury, so it's actually bigger than a planet. It has a metal and rock interior, and it has a thick icy crust with no craters. It takes 7 days to orbit Jupiter, so this would make sense because we're moving further and further out, right? And it was discovered by Galileo, so if you guys remember video 47, we talked about that. Alright, Callisto. I think it kind of looks like a Dalmatian moon, personally, myself. It is the outermost of the Jupiter, of the big 4 moons we were talking about. It's outside what's considered the deadly radiation belt. It's the safest place to explore Jupiter, and it's the 3rd largest moon in the solar system. Its interior is rock and ice, and remember, this is also one of Galileo's finds. Alright, so let's go to the next planet. This is going to be Saturn. Saturn has 62 moons and counting. There are 5 bigger moons, and you guys see pictures of them down here. And I'm going to do a case study and use Titan. So Titan I chose because it's the 2nd largest moon in the solar system. It's bigger than the planet Mercury. We actually had a space probe that landed on Titan, so that's where we get a lot of our information from. And it has methane, nitrogen, and hydrogen in its atmosphere. Alright, let's go to Uranus. So Uranus has 27 moons. It has 5 major, and the one I picked to share with you guys was Miranda. Now, Miranda looks like patchwork, looks like a quilt, and that's pretty much because it got blown apart and re-glued back together. Remember, it was inside of that Roche radius there. It has very low gravity, and it has very large cliffs. And remember, silicates we said was just a fancy term for stuff you find in sand. All right, let's go to Neptune. Neptune has 13 moons and counting. It's got 3 major ones. And I'm going to use Triton, and don't be confused with Titan, which we did before, but this is Triton. Triton was discovered in 1846 by William Lassell. It is the largest of Neptune's moons, which is why I chose it. It's got an icy surface, and it's considered the coldest object in the solar system because its temperature is about negative 400 Fahrenheit, and it contains carbon, which is very exciting. All right, let's talk about Pluto. I'm not going to leave him out, even though he was demoted to a dwarf planet. He has 1 major moon. I like to call it his girlfriend. A lot of people have the theory that they are, in fact, not a planet and a moon, but they are 2 binary planets, which means that they go along together. So let's talk about Charon. Charon orbits Pluto in 6 days. It's almost as big as Pluto. And like I said, most think it's a planet that's orbiting a planet. But because by definition a satellite orbits a planet, it would have to be a satellite, which remember is just a fancy term for moon. All right, here's video clips. summary time here, people. List all 10 moons and then include what planet they orbit and at least 2 characteristics. This can be super quick, and if you did a good job with your notes, it should be pretty easy.